It's a brand new season for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. It was 223 days ago that we last met. It was in the dunes of Zandvoort that we saw the Porsche legend Jaap van Lagen clinch his first championship in this wonderful series. Now, as we start the 14th season of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, if Jaap van Lagen thinks he's gonna have it easy as he seeks to become the first ever driver to win back-to-back championship titles, he is very much mistaken. He has got 26 other competitors to go up against. He has 10 brand new rookies, 11 talent pool drivers, and 12 pro drivers, 5 Pro-Am drivers, all lined up, ready to go head-to-head with him. And there is one man who has really stolen the headlines. Yesterday morning, when Alex Hart got out of bed, he was a Pro-Am driver. He was thinking about winning the Pro-Am Championship or being a contender for a Pro-Am podium. But today, he is a pro driver. Very quickly, when we looked at his lap times in free practice and in testing, it became very, very clear that he was going to be very rapid. We'd seen him last year in Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland, where he'd very much impressed. And this morning, he put his car on pole position in the overall race. A really, really great qualifying session for him. And Alex Hart starts off his season with that pole position. You just saw briefly there on your screen Jaap van Lagen, the defending champion. He's got a bit of work to do in this race as he starts somewhere near the front, but not as far forward as he would like. He qualified in 5th place this morning. So many young chargers around him. This is shaping up already to be something of a sensational season. 27 cars lining up for this season opener, the first of 12 races in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. We will be traveling across 4 countries on 6 weekends. We are part of several prestigious events, none more so than this weekend. We are part of the World Endurance Championship here at Spa-Francorchamps, a legendary series at a legendary circuit. And you can see that the sun is shining, the crowd are pouring in. They are about to be entertained as these gladiators go wheel to wheel. There's Bertrand Baguette, a regular visitor here at Spa-Francorchamps, a regular guest driver here in the season opener of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. Last year, he won race 2. Race 1 last year was won by Robin Knudsen. Robin, another driver coming back this year as a guest driver here at Spa-Francorchamps, and he will be looking to repeat the feat of last year, but he will have a lot of work to do as we look at the rest of the grid. Just looking at some of the drivers, we have 3 categories that are going to be competing. We have the overall title in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. That was the title that was won last year by Jaap van Lagen. There's Robin Knudsen in the number 32 car, qualified 10th on the grid. Different livery for this year. Qualified 12th on the grid and a different livery this year for his car. We have the overall title, Jaap van Lagen looking to defend that, to become the first driver to successfully defend. We also have the Rookie Championship. Last year, it was Milan Marchak who just beat Frank Portehuis to the title and Mace Muller in 3rd place. Well, all 3 drivers are back this year and they are competing in the overall championship. We also have the Pro-Am Championship. That was won last year by Jules Grau. 2nd last year in the Pro-Ams was Yanni Kakela. He was the reigning champion last year. He won it in 2024 for the Pro-Ams. He is back for another go this year. He is the pole sitter for the Pro-Ams in 21st place on the grid, but the fastest of all the Pro-Am cars. The fastest of the rookies is one of the new kids on the block. Joep Muller, the younger brother of Mace Muller, who we saw last year, had a sensational qualifying session this morning, was only half a second off pole position, and he has qualified in 8th place overall, and he is the pole sitter for the rookies. Really, really spectacular stuff. The qualifying this morning was fantastic. But now it's time for it all to play out. It's time for the talking to stop and the real racing to start. You've seen several of the drivers just flashing up on the screen there. One of those there, Jesse Polderdijk, another of the very impressive young and up-and-coming drivers. He's one of 11 drivers who are in the talent pool for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, and he is the reigning rookie champion from the Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe that we saw over the winter. So he'll be one to watch as well. So if you're new to Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, this is short, sharp, explosive racing. 30 minutes plus 1 lap. We have a 12 race championship across the 6 weekends, and this is the opener, as is now becoming fairly traditional here at Spa-Francorchamps. We are at the circuit that is famous around the world. It's just a fraction over 7 kilometers around. That equates to about 4.3 miles. It has 19 turns, 10 to the left and 9 to the right. A lot of elevation change. There is 102.2 meters of elevation change around this circuit. That is higher than Big Ben, for those who want to put that to scale. And of course, you have Eau Rouge leading to Radion, that steep, fast right-hander with a gradient of nearly 25%. It's the most famous and feared corner combination in motorsport. The one thing that is always an issue here at Spa-Francorchamps is track limits, and we have had a lot of track limit infringements in free practice and in qualifying. The race directors getting involved, our race director Max Brahms and Kees Koenig, who are keeping a very close eye on things. We had well over 200 track limit warnings in the free practice session yesterday. And they have said to the drivers they are going to be on top of this during the races here. The first of 2 races here this weekend as we start on this formation lap now. The cars now moving from the grid. And now the important part as we look up that legendary Eau Rouge into Radion, that legendary part of the circuit. The car's now weaving to generate heat into the tyres and into the brakes. Of course, tyre warmers not allowed. Right, here is the grid. It's Alex Hart who starts on pole position. Alex Ryman, great qualifying from him alongside Frank Portehues, and last year's rookie champion Milan Marchak is there as well. There's Jaap van Lagen and Jelte Hofner, Mees Muller, Joep Muller, Bertrand Baguette, Theo Ellinus, a legendary name that is as well. You can see the rest of the cars just scrolling through on the graphic on your starting grid. But Alex Hart and Alex Ryman on that front row. So last year, Alex Ryman, who was very much a contender, but has really taken a step up in testing and in all that's gone on over the winter. And he will be making a challenge into that first corner. It's a tricky first corner here at Spa-Francorchamps. Of course, the cars starting on the very, very short stretch. Then they head into La Source, to a very, very sharp hairpin turn 1. And then it's that flat-out section as we head towards Eau Rouge and Radion. It's a tricky start to the race, and if we can get all 27 cars around that first corner, that will be something of a result in itself. So the cars just circulating at the moment, generating that heat in the tyres and in the brakes. Third on the grid, Frank Portehues, very much pushing Milan Marchak all the way in that rookie championship last year, and he has Milan Marchak for company alongside him on the road too. Then the defending champion, Jaap van Lagen, but keep an eye on Jelte Hofner starting from 6 on the grid, and then it's an all-Muller row 4. Mees Muller and Joep Muller starting alongside each other. Mees Muller did a full season last year. Very impressive, but his younger brother, who is starting on that rookie pole alongside him, will be looking to put one over his brother. Then it's Bertrand Baguette. What a stunning driver he is, someone that we have seen many times guesting here. He is the Super GT champion of 2022. There isn't much he hasn't raced. He's raced in the Indy 500. He's tested for Formula 1 for Renault. We've seen him at Le Mans in the 24 hours in the LMP2, he won that in 2013. He's a winner in the World Endurance Championship. His roll of honour goes on, and it's always a real privilege to have Bertrand Baguette on the grid here for the opener of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. And then, alongside him, 10th on the grid, Theo Ellenas, another driver. And for those who have been following the Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe over the winter, you'll already be aware that he is a driver with an awful lot of experience as well, a former Marussia Formula 1 test driver, and he is very, very welcome here on the grid at Spa-Francorchamps. So many other drivers to talk about, and we'll catch up with some of them as the race and as indeed the season progresses. But at the moment, our focus now, as the cars have completed that long formation lap, and they now stand on the grid. They move to their grid boxes, all getting into position. The 998 car in the background now, that's Jan Seifert. We've seen him in Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland over the last few years, now having a go at Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, and he's very welcome to do that. Jan Seifert, on the grid there. He has qualified in 14th place, so already showing well. So now the silence falls on the grid. This is going to be something very spectacular. The forest of the Ardennes is about to echo to the sound of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. 5 red lights on, 5 red lights off. We are go. A dreadful start for Alex Hart. Have a look at Frank Porte, who is to the inside into La Source, trying to get past Alex Ryman. A great start for Frank Porte, who is Milan Marchak going deep into the corner, but a dreadful start for Alex Hart. He drops down to 4th. We've got problems out the back. That's an absolute shame. There's someone who hasn't got away. So one of the cars in there, that is Tijn van Berkel, one of the cars that has had all sorts of damage as well. This is certainly going to bring out, at the very least, a safety car. We may well even get a stoppage. At the moment, we've got about 7 kilometres of this race. Oh, also in there, Joop Muller, the pole sitter for the rookies, and this is going red, so we've got a red flag. You can see the 95 car. We didn't even get to say ka-chow as Tijn van Berkel is on the track there with damage, so the red flags, I think that was inevitable. A lot of damage there. What an absolute shame. That was not how we wanted to start this season of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. Let's have a look at the back of the grid here. And it was that car, 2 cars that did, 3 cars, 4 cars that didn't get away, and straight into the back of Joop Muller went Tijn van Berkel. There are numerous cars that just didn't get off the line. And looking here from further back, so this is going to take a lot of clearing up. Alex Hart almost didn't get off the line, so certainly a real problem here with a lot of the cars not getting out of the blocks. So it will be very interesting to hear what the issues were with these cars, because clearly something that was across several of the vehicles. But you could see there were, what, half a dozen or so that never even got off the line or were very slow, and most made it past the stationary cars, but then there was that impact, and such a shame. So we've lost Joop Muller, our rookie pole sitter, after such a strong qualifying session, and that is an absolute disaster. Such a shame. We've also lost Tijn van Berkel. We've also lost, Makoto Haga, the driver who comes all the way from Japan, being coached by Thierry Vermeulen, DTM driver. He was certainly turned around in part of that, but whether he's got any damage or not, well, that remains to be seen. But oh, what an absolute shame. So red flags are out, so the cars will be brought back into the pit lane. Clearly, that's the sensible option. We don't want to just run the clock down while we're clearing this up. So the clock will stop when they get to the pit lane, and the race directors will then decide how much time remains. But what a shame. We were looking at a really exciting start to this season, and it's not the way we wanted it to happen. Just curious how there were probably half a dozen or so cars that either didn't get away or were very slow getting away, including our pole sitter. And that's something we will certainly be looking to find out what occurred with these drivers once this race is complete. The car's very much identical to last year, with the exception of one thing, and that is that we are now running with ABS. Of course, we hadn't run with ABS in the past, but ABS, as has become the case across many of the Carrera Cup series, in fact, I think pretty well all the Carrera Cup series now running ABS. We've got the new Cup car in Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Deutschland, and this series will be running the Cup car next year as well. Porsche can't produce them quick enough, but as kind of a half step to that, the ABS has been introduced for this year. You can see the cars just peeling into the pit lane. We have got an ambulance out on the track at the moment. The cars are incredibly safe, and I'm just looking out of the commentary box window. I don't believe there are any major issues at all with drivers. These cars are incredibly safe. They are built to dissipate the energy in whatever way they can. So the ambulance probably out there as just a matter of routine, but there's a fair bit of clearing up to do. There's going to be a lot of debris on the circuit. There's going to be fluid down on the circuit as well. A big crowd here. It's only Friday here at Spa-Francorchamps, and there's a fairly sizable crowd. I dread to think how long it's going to take me to get into the circuit tomorrow morning, but they have been entertained all day today. We've been watching quali for the World Endurance Championship. We've been watching the Legends of Le Mans, and we were hoping to steal the show with Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. How interesting, we're passing through the pit lane still. Oh, we're probably going to come to a stop on the dummy grid out on the exit of La Source, I think. So yeah, the crowd, we were hoping they were going to be thoroughly entertained. Well, they will be, but there's just a bit of a delay to it, and we might be short of a couple of cars. My timing screen at the moment is only indicating we've lost 2. I mean, that's 2 too many, as far as we're concerned, but Duke Muller, what an absolute shame for PG Motorsport. He's the younger brother of Mace Muller, and been lots of comments and jokes as well, because he was directly behind or alongside his brother on the grid. And Duke, who had come through Porsche Sports Cup Germany, part of their talent pool, was also very quick in Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe, when we saw him over the winter, and we were really excited by such a good qualifying session. Right, well, look at that, was how many cars, and everybody had taken pretty well avoiding action, with the exception of Tijn van Berkel, who made sizable impact with the back of the Muller car. See, a lot of them, they got going and then they stopped again, and whether there's an issue or whether it's something to do with temperature, whatever it is, that was where Makoto Haga, I beg your pardon, got clipped and turned around as well. But whatever it was, now we see, it's actually quite warm here in Spa-Francorchamps. So the driver's wafting the doors, just trying to get some air into the car. It is incredibly hot when you're sat behind the wheel of that. And it's quite late in the afternoon. The sun has been shining for much of the day, which we're certainly not complaining about. But we had quali around lunchtime, and the drivers very much kind of hyping themselves up, building themselves up. You've got that big build-up of adrenaline as you're waiting for your race, and then late in the day, it's currently just 6:10 in the evening local time. So it's been kind of quite a long day with the adrenaline as well, and now you're sat there, you're cooking in the car, the driver's just trying to get a little bit of air into the car as well while they're sat there. So while we're waiting for this to get going, the team's just coming out. They're allowed to a degree, touch the cars, and there's very limited to what they can do. Not that there's much they'd probably want to do. But while we've got a moment, just to tell you what's new for 2026 in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. One of the big news is that we've got a new exclusive fuel supplier for the series. Fuel, spelled FU3L, who are a synthetic liquid fuels company developing advanced drop-in formulations compatible with existing engines and infrastructure. Their fuel is extensively tested around the world to ensure performance, reliability and environmental integrity. So really good to have them involved. They position advanced synthetic fuel as a practical add-on to electrification, enabling an immediate reduction in carbon emissions. And it's certainly the way we want to be heading with Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. Advanced fuels synthesized from second-generation biomass feedstocks, primarily derived from agricultural and forestry residues, which is fantastic. They produce a substantially reduced greenhouse gas footprint compared to fossil fuels. So we are so pleased to have fuel on board as the supplier of the fuel for this series this year. We've also got a new champagne partner as well in the shape of Seb Valois. We'll talk a little bit more about them when we get towards the podium, but they are our official champagne partner for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux as well. So at the moment, you can see the cars just reforming back on the dummy grid. I've got no indication at the moment when we might get things going again. So what I have got, though, is that the grid will be based on the original starting grid that we had at the beginning. So not going to be in lap sheet order. We hadn't passed any timing beams before that came out, so it's going to be what is effectively a complete restart. So Alex Hart, after that awful start, will feel like he's got a get out of jail free card there. I should think Frank Portehues will be distinctly grumpy after making a rocket start from that second row position. Now, where's Milan Marchak in that melee? Because Milan, very much a contender for the championship this year, has proven to be so rapid in everything he's done. And I expect he will just need to work his way through this. The only drivers that I'm seeing that are not able to make the, well, clearly, Joep Muller and Tijn van Berkel in the wonderful Lightning McQueen livery. And I know a lot of families, a lot of young people in the families, a lot of old people in the families, really appreciating the Lightning McQueen livery, less appreciating the fact that he's already managed to scratch it slightly. But we say ka-chow to you, and we hope we're going to see you back again very, very soon on the grid, hopefully tomorrow. Oh, there's Milan Marchak behind Alex Ryman there, so they're slowly wheeling cars into position. We will, as soon as I've got any indication, I'm asking my producers sat alongside me to wave frantically if we get a time appear on the screen when this is going to get going. I'm hoping it's not going to take too long. I'm just going to peer out of the window. Let's look again. I should think there will be a few drivers who'll be quite happy never to see this again. So there's another one on the... we got collected there. So that was obviously the number 8 car. So who else? And yes, a pole guy didn't get away either. And that is such a shame. Two fairly damaged cars there as we look down from the top of Eau Rouge down towards La Source. So the car's just slowly re-gridding, and we'll let you know when we're going to get things going. At the moment, there's still crew out on the track. We do still have an ambulance out on the track, but I don't think there are any major issues. I think probably a bit of a thump for some of the drivers as well. Don't think we've got any damage to the barrier. So just there is one driver that's just being assisted from the circuit. So we will just send our best wishes to everyone who's involved in that, but particularly to Tijn van Berkel and also to Joep Muller, who were the two that had clearly the biggest impact in that, but now just being removed from the circuit, and we'll get sweeping up, and hopefully we can get this going soon. So Tijn van Berkel has come from Porsche Sprint Challenge Benelux, very much the next step up the ladder, and really part of the Porsche pyramid. And if you are new to Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, then you will maybe not be aware of the Porsche pyramid. It's just a perfect place for young talent to move up the Porsche Pyramid, where they start with maybe Porsche track experience, the Sprint Challenge Benelux, which is where Tijn van Berkel has come from, then into Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. We often see drivers moving into Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Deutschland, Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup, and then maybe into becoming possibly even a Porsche factory driver. And we certainly saw last year Arjen Guven winning the DTM Championship. There's Jaap van Lagen just chatting at the side of his car. Maurice Schuring, who won the Le Mans 24-hour race. Was that last year? Time flies. It's come through Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. Luke Hartog making real headlines as we see Robin Knudsen. And we've seen him in Porsche. No, we haven't. We've seen him in GT World Challenge. There we go. With GT World Challenge, he's had, if it wasn't for any bad luck, he'd have had no luck at all, Robin Knudsen. So I'm pleased he survived that opening lap. And he's just been wheeled back into position as well. But the Porsche Pyramid is a wonderful structure, a wonderful scheme, a way of just funneling drivers up through the pyramid into the factory seats. Right, well, my clock has reset at 30 minutes, so I think we're going to get a full duration. I think that's probably very sensible, just while things are being cleared up at the moment. So it'll be 30 minutes plus 1 lap of racing, the first of the 12 races this season. And then we will have a second race tomorrow, and that will be in the morning. So again, for anybody who has had any damage from this, the crews are going to have to work quite hard just to pull all that together. I'm just going to loop back to our pole sitter, Alex Hart. I mentioned this morning. So when he rocked up at the circuit on Thursday, and in fact, in all the entry lists, he was a Pro-Am driver. He was down in the Pro-Am Championship. He put a few laps in testing and free practice. And the bosses at Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux said, hang on a second, chap. You're too good to be a Pro-Am. And whoever, like, me, mate? No, I'm a Pro-Am. And they very quickly, overnight, had a conference and changed his status to Pro. And just to prove the point, Alex Hart scoring pole position in quali this morning. It was Alex Ryman who was leading the way for much of quali, but then Alex Hart stealing it away towards the end of that quali session. We'd seen him in Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Deutschland last year. He guessed it at the Nürburgring, and again he turned up there and he said, I'm here to have fun, I just don't want to make a fool of myself, and he really impressed. So the lesson I take from that is don't believe a word of what Alex Hart tells you. He is very, very good, and he's proven that by scoring a pole position. But Alex Ryman, in the number 28 car, is starting alongside him. The Estonian driver, who I've mentioned already, was in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux last year. He finished 12th in the championship. Also, the year before, he finished 12th in the championship. So certainly looking to improve on that. Was in Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe. Was 8th in the sport category over the winter. In 2024, he was the Pro-Am champion in Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe. And very much an up-and-coming superstar, so we will keep an eye on Alex Ryman, and certainly his best qualifying, certainly that I can remember. Keep an eye also on Yannick Akea there, the number 39 car, who won the Pro-Am Championship back in 2024. Last year was in the battles big time for the Pro-Am Championship, and got just beaten to the post by Jules Grau, so looking to put the record straight. I've been pronouncing his name wrong for the last 3 years, so it's Yanni Kakala, so I'm actually going to rehearse that one over the next few weeks. He actually, a useless fact, he actually drives with one arm after a motorcycle accident 10 years ago, so he doesn't have full use of one of his arms, so he drives one-handed. So the performances from Yanni Kakala, very impressive, particularly taking into account that. Right, well, with the grid re-lined up effectively, our new rookie pole sitter is going to be David Givok, and he's another one who impressed over the winter, and we've seen him also in Porsche Sprint Challenge Central Europe. He won the championship in that last year. He did 4 guest races in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe over the winter. He's a Polish driver who I believe is based in Malaga and started in karting, and he is now going to be our highest placed rookie, and he lines up 11th on the grid overall. Also, another one to keep an eye out on is the driver who will be second in the rookies, and that is Henry Wheeler. He wins the award of being the driver who has travelled the furthest to be here. He comes all the way from the USA. Really good to have him here from Ohio, and is commuting to the Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux round. So he has to get here early to get past the jet lag, I should think, but really sees the European car scene as a great shop window. His mum has German heritage. In fact, she is German, and so even though Henry lives in the USA, he is racing over here really to get noticed. And when we saw him in Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe in 2026, as in a few weeks ago, it was his second ever car race weekend, and he won all 4 rookie races that he started. He started in 4 races and he won the rookie race in all 4 of them. So he will be one to keep an eye on. So yes, keep an eye on Henry Wheeler, and he currently 13th on the grid, and he will be second in the rookies once we get this going. Right, quick glance out of the window, just trying to keep you updated, and still a little bit of work to be done at the moment. So we've still got people out on the track just sorting things out. So I think it's going to be a few moments yet before we're able to get this back underway. Fortunately, we're not being threatened by the rain or anything. It is an absolutely gorgeous circuit. We're in the Forest of Ardennes in eastern Belgium. It was very pleasant. Drove in from the UK yesterday, and it's a glorious part of the world. Of course, we're really close to the borders of Germany and the Netherlands, and the very pretty towns of Francorchamps, famous for its healing waters. Must love some of them. And Malmedy and Stavelot nearby as well. And of course, this circuit, I mean, I use the word legendary far too much, but Rich, did you know that Spa-Francorchamps used to be triangle shaped? There we go. The track was built in 1921 using public roads between Francorchamps, Malmedy and Stavelot to create what was then a 14.9 kilometre circuit through the Ardennes Forest. So you think 7 kilometres is long, just think what it used to be like. It was redeveloped in 1979 with a new circuit, half the original length. But the thing that strikes me is every time we come here, it's different because there's so much investment in renovation. You're looking there on the right-hand side. A brand new grandstand, was brand new a couple of years ago, at the top of Eau Rouge. And that seats a lot of people. And I sat up there early this morning, watched a little bit of practice for World Endurance Championship, and it's a spectacular view there. Apart from the fact you can see right into the Ardennes Forest, you can also see out of La Source, up Eau Rouge to Raidillon. You can also look across and you can see the exit of Blanchimont into the bus stop and in towards La Source. It really is a spectacular view from the grandstand up there. But there's so much going on. There's a whole new building that's arrived since I was here last year, and the investment is incredible. It was an 80 million euro renovation over the next 10 years, including the new grandstands, and apparently it's 4,500 seats in that stand that you just saw in your picture, and upgrades to other grandstands, bigger runoff areas. So really the organisers here, and of course in a few weeks' time we will see the Belgian Grand Prix here, and that will be spectacular. And you think these grandstands, there's a lot of them, there's a lot of people here, you can lose them quite quickly in this number of grandstands. I'm told that for the World Endurance Championship this weekend, that the pre-sale tickets have exceeded the entire total of last year. So there is going to be tomorrow the first day of the weekend, there are going to be some big crowds of people that are going to be coming here to Spa-Francorchamps for what will be a spectacular event. And of course the World Endurance Championship, how many hours is it of 6 hours of Spa-Francorchamps. Oh, you can hear, what can we hear there? I can hear some ripples of applause. And I do think that we did have to take a few moments just to allow the drivers involved in that incident just to regather themselves and get themselves out of the car. And I think the applause that you've just heard in the background has just been the fact that the drivers have been able to get out of the cars. I think is really important. You can obviously, it's a cliche, but you can rebuild the cars, but the driver's safety is the most important thing. Oh, there's a driver. Who's that on the left-hand side? Clearly been for a comfort break. Get back in your car, mate. We're going in a second. Still haven't got a time, but I think it's going to be fairly soon. So, yeah, just looking after the drivers. Safety is absolutely the top priority here, as always. It's probably the last year we're going to see this iteration of the Porsche 911 GT3 car based on the latest 992.2 generation, because we've got the new Cup car that has already debuted this year in Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Deutschland, Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup, Porsche Carrera Cup Asia, I think in North America as well. But of course, it takes time. The cars take time to build. It was released kind of autumn of last year. It was at the Nürburgring, so that would have been August, in fact, pre-autumn, late summer. The car was released for us all to see, but the Porsche now working flat out to produce these new cars. So it means that quite a few series are still running the previous version, which is very, very good. This version, which is 510 brake horsepower, still with that gorgeous 4-litre naturally aspirated water-cooled flat 6 boxer engine mounted in the boot, and it is just an incredible car, and they always steal the show wherever we go. Porsche Carrera Cup always steals the show. You know when they are on track, and it's like, I would often describe it, it's like when you hear a car solo, it's like when you hear a violin solo, it's a certain sound. When you hear identical cars all at full tilt, it's like hearing lots of violins together. It creates this sound that is unique. And when these cars are all running at full tilt, it's just a sound that is very hard to describe. Some would say it's like a swarm of angry bees. I think it's something more beautiful than that. But the cars make a great sound, and it is spectacular. The speed, the color, the noise. If you're susceptible to loud noises, then maybe bring some ear defenders. Right, just double checking sporting information and to confirm there will be a new original start with a 5-minute countdown. So we will get the 5-minute warning. I'm just looking now out of the window once again, and it is just the last bits of removing the cars now, I believe. And very shortly the track sweepers are out, just cleaning things up. There's been an awful lot of fluid. I can see that on the car, on the track and on the car. So the various other vehicles now leaving the circuit. So I'm thinking we might get the 5-minute board fairly shortly. And then, of course, we will start with a fresh formation lap. That will be the fresh opportunity to get the heat into the tyres and into the brakes once again. Of course, everything will cool down because they've been sat stationary, albeit in the glorious sunshine here. So you can hear another ripple of applause because I think we've actually got the cars fairly well removed as well. So we should hopefully be getting ready to go very shortly. I've already mentioned Milan Marchak. Jaap van Lagen, he wouldn't be if he could win the championship this year, and he certainly comes in very much as something of a favourite. But there have been other drivers, another driver who has won the championship twice, and that was the shape of Dylan Derridale. I shall get told off for my pronunciation there, who won the championship, and he won that in, and also Xavier Masson, of course, whose son, is it his son? Certainly relation of Montego Masson, is racing in Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Deutschland this year. Oh, there you go. You can see, a lot of fluid has been on the track. So there have been a couple of drivers that have won 2 titles, but nobody's ever managed it back to back. If anybody can, yeah, Van Lagen can. His CV would require an entire fresh sheet of paper, which I don't have in front of me, but of course, winning the Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux Championship last year. He's had a couple of wins in Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup. He's had 5 wins in Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Deutschland. He's raced in GT Masters. He's raced in the 24-hour series. He was the SP2 champion in 2017. He's done World Touring Cars and much, much more. So certainly comes into this as something of a pre-season favourite, and he's looking to become that first driver to win back-to-back titles. And it will be a brave man who bets against that. Right, well, I haven't had the notification on my screen, but I've got notification on the visual. The 5-minute board is in the air. So time now, I'm missing dinner. It's 18:31 local time, so I would say about 18:36. We're going to be getting this thing rolling, which will be good, albeit slightly delayed. If you've only just joined us, welcome along. It is the 14th season of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, the opening round of this 2026 season, the first of 12 races. Very sadly, we've just had a fairly sizable incident on the start-finish line where several cars did not get out of the blocks, but 2 of them making quite significant contact. Tijn van Berkel running into the back of Joep Muller, and Muller, who was the pole sitter for the rookies, and both cars quite heavily damaged. The drivers did require some assistance from the cars, but pleased to say, they have now gone off to the medical centre to be checked over. The track is having the final touches done to it. The cars have been removed, and very, very shortly we will start on the formation lap to get this race going once and for all. And for the crowd that have stuck around, they will be rewarded, because this will be absolutely spectacular. I said keep an eye out for Jelte Hoffner. He starts, well, he's qualified 6th on the grid. Jelte, another one of the talent pool. We've got 11 drivers in the talent pool this year. The talent pool is really spectacular. It's 4 drivers up to 24 years old, where they're coached and mentored by the former Porsche factory driver, Dirk Werner, who has so much wisdom. And it's not just about driving, it's not just about driving skills, it's about physical and mental coaching, it's about nutrition, it's about finding and retaining sponsors, it's about dealing with the media, dealing with social media. They teach them everything in the talent pool. It's a great, great scheme. 11 drivers in it this year, which is quite a high number, but that's the level of talent that is coming through the ranks. And the series organisers here at Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux really focused on funneling talented drivers from what would be grassroots starts in some cases through to Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux and on up through the aforementioned Porsche Pyramid. And it really is a great scheme. And Jelte Hoffner, well, we saw him last year, guested in a couple of rounds. He had a couple of 7th places. This is his full season debut, but he will be one to watch. I would say he takes no prisoners. Again, a bit of a cliche, but he really doesn't take any prisoners. Jelte Hoffner really prepared to get his elbows out, always got a smile, and always worth following his social media as well. You get great feedback after events as to what he's been thinking and what's been occurring. We've got Mace Muller, who's 7th on the grid, and he is the older brother of Joep, who was involved in that opening accident. And Mace, who finished 3rd in the rookies last year and 8th overall, so another driver on the ascendancy. And certainly the dueling between him and his younger brother is something that we are very much looking forward to seeing as this season progresses, even if it's not today. I've already mentioned Bertrand Baguette and Theo Ellinus, and Wright Just to say, the race distance has been reduced by 10 minutes, I'm afraid. And again, we have a schedule that we do need to stick to, not just with satellites and television, but also here at the circuit. So, apart from the fact that it'll be dark soon. It is a slightly reduced length of race, but it's going to be spectacular. And we've been looking forward to this. Feels like it's been a long, hard winter. I mentioned it already. It's been 223 days since Zandvoort. Let's sit down and count that. And we are very, very eager to get this season going and to get this race underway. As far as I can tell, now I haven't seen where I'm just checking to see where the Makoto Haga is on the grid. We've certainly lost those two, clearly, that were in the incident. There's Levent Turkman. There's one to keep an eye on. 977, the Dutch driver who rocked up at Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe just to do a bit of testing, really. And it went so well, he ended up racing in the series. And that went so well, he's ended up here in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. I spoke to him earlier this afternoon, and I said to him, when the 1st of January came round, did you even think that you would be racing in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux this year? He went, nope. It was just testing for a bit of fun at Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe, and it has led to this. This is what happens when you get behind the wheels of one of these magical cars. Let that be a warning to you. Levent Turkman now lines up for a full season here, and very welcome he is too. He was so entertaining over the winter. Right, well, as you can see, we are on the formation lap. So after what has felt like several weeks, we are now back up and running the cars. We look down at Le Combe, the really long straight that is. When you take into account, we're looking from Le Combe down to Kemmel Straight, having another look at the grid there. I couldn't keep up with it last time. Why should I be able to do it now? Right, so the 83 car of Makoto Haga has been instructed to start from the pit lane. Right, there's the first 3 rows. I've spoken about all of them, so that's cool. Hart, Ryman. Oh yeah, I knew that would happen. Right, and I've also spoken about, obviously we've got Mace Muller on that row on his own, Bertrand Baguette, Thierry Lenners. Then we got David Givok and Robin Knudsen, winner of this race this time last year. A bit of work to do from 12th. Then Henry Wheeler from the USA, Jan Seifert, superstar in Germany, Bredfeld, and Karol Krent, haven't mentioned him yet, from Poland. Another driver we've seen in the German series. Oh, here we go. Jesse Polendijk, Archie Peters, Dino van der Geest, and Ali Al-Jafari, another driver for Quanloop S1 Racing. It's good to have him. He has qualified 20th on the grid. There's Makoto Haga, who is starting from the pit lane. I've already mentioned Yanni Kakela, and haven't mentioned Cuba Twarog yet either. Another welcome young driver on the grid. Also Mike Rosenberg, sometimes a guest here in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, Levent Turkman and Makoto Haga. So I think I've at least mentioned every driver. Right, here we go. So we are up at the moment towards, just coming out of Fagnes. I used the real word, so Pouhon and Fagnes. No piff-paff from me. Into campus, and then round to Stavelot. When you walk or indeed run the circuit, at Stavelot we head into Blanchimont. It is the corner that never ends. It is a long, long corner, and you watch the cars when you're out on the circuit, and they take turn 16 and 17, if you want numbers, at Blanchimont, flat out. Really impressive stuff from these drivers, and it is a long, hard, slightly uphill corner before the heavy braking of the bus stop. Reaching, as they head into bus stop, during racing situations, racing circumstances, racing conditions, there we go, about 260 kilometers an hour before standing on the brakes, and then there's the right-left into the bus stop chicane in first gear. So it really is from full-on acceleration into quite heavy braking. You saw some of the crowd there just peering over. So many great vantage points. If I wanted to recommend anywhere to watch from Spa-Francorchamps, I really struggle to recommend anything anywhere because there are so many great spots to watch from. My only recommendation would be come here for a weekend and just move around the circuit, because there are so many spectacular views here. It is always a privilege to come to the Ardennes for the season opener for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. And Alex Hart, well, after what was a very difficult start to the race, has got another chance to put the record right, put the record straight. Alex Ryman didn't have the best of starts either. Well, it was okay, but not as good as Frank Porte-Hues, who was like the proverbial rat up the proverbial drain pipe, and had almost mugged both of them into that sauce. And we'll have an eye on him. Milan Marchak, 4th place. Well, most people would be, yeah, 4th, that's pretty good quality. I spoke to him and he was like, 4th, not quite what I was hoping for. So, yeah, keep an eye on the 96 car as well. Very much a championship contender. Right, here we go then. We did this a little while ago. We're going to do it all again now. So, a couple of gaps on the grid, but we are getting ready for the start of a slightly shortened race 1 of the season. Just going to wait for clearance from the back, and then those 5 red lights will come on. There is that clearance, and now here come the lights, here comes the noise, here comes the racing. We are go, and another slightly poor start from Alex Hart. Frank Porte-Hues maybe just very quick out of the blocks to the outside into last source. Alex Ryman tucking to the inside. Are we going to get them all around this first corner? We're running 3 abreast. It's downhill now in towards Eau Rouge. We come and to Radion. Alex Hart's got it back, and there is a side-by-side battle for second place. This is going to take a lot of courage to run up the hill. Side by side is Ryman with a nose in front. Frank Porte-Hues running very wide. Out onto now the Kemmel Straight, they will come. This is quite a scrap for the last of the positions for the podium. Milan Marchak on the right-hand side of your picture in the black car. Behind him, Jelte Hofner, Jaap van Lagen in there as well, but Alex Hart has checked out at the front after a tricky start. Now Milan Marchak going wide out of the corner. We need to be careful of track limits. We already know that the race director is going to be taking a close look at any track limits. That was David Givok that we saw pointing in the wrong direction. He looks like he's able to rejoin. Jelte Hofner on the outside line, he comes. Got indication that the start is under investigation. Now, whether anybody has jumped the start, but the race directors are having a look at that. Max Brahms and Kees Koenig overtaking turns 3 and 4 and turn 6 under investigation. So that is probably that fight for second place up Eau Rouge into Radion that we saw between Alex Ryman and Frank Porte-Hues. So we'll see what happens there. At the moment, though, Alex Hart has checked out at the front of this race. Second, Frank Porte-Hues. Third, Alex Ryman. 4th place, defending champion, Jaap van Lagen in the yellow and black car. Then it's Milan Marchak, Jelte Hofner, Bertrand Baguette up to 7th place. Theo Elenis there as well in 8th. You saw dust rising up into the air as one car has dipped its wheel into the gravel. Everybody continuing, everything pointing in the right direction at the moment. We continue out and we go. Alex Hart, good lead there. The driver who came into this weekend as a Pro-Am, I don't think so. In towards the bus stop he comes now. The quick right and the left. Now Milan Marchak starting to put the pressure onto Jaap van Lagen, or has Jaap van Lagen got past Milan Marchak? So Jaap van Lagen had made the move on Milan Marchak. There's a bit of weaving going on there as well, maybe trying to generate some heat into the tyres. Into last source we come once again. So Van Lagen, always just solid thereabout. He knows that championships are won with consistency, not necessarily wins. Looks like we've lost Makoto Haga. He's registering as stopped, so maybe that incident at the start has put paid to him in this race. At the moment, everybody else continues. Our leading rookie is Arthur Peters. So where did he come from? Up to 12th place. So Arthur Peters is the leading rookie. Our leading Pro-Am is Yanni Kakala. Now there's the 55 car. Carol Krent, great to have him here. At the moment, he's challenging for position, 14th place, and trying to challenge In front of him is Henry Wheeler, the driver from the USA, and up ahead of them, Dino van der Geest in the 19 car. So trying to challenge to the outside. Also in there, we saw Joop Bredveld as well. So Joop Bredveld and Karel Krent, they are challenging for that position as Bredveld, who's got the better of Karel Krent, who we saw in Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland a couple of years ago. Great to have him back again now, and he putting one back over the number 5 car, so retaking that position. This is what we love in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. But the number 5 car, Joop Bredveld, not giving up on this. Relatively experienced Karel Krent in comparison to the driver he's fighting with, the number 5 car. But remember that Joop Bredveld is last year's Porsche Sprint Challenge Germany GT4 champion. You don't win that unless you are pretty useful. So he is challenging for that position as well. At the moment, Alex Hart with a 1.383 second lead over second place Frank Porte-Hues. We've got some track limit warnings for car 5 and 44. So that is the aforementioned Joop Bredveld and also Cuba Twarog. Cuba, who very much new to this, but has been racing alongside Karel Krent in other stuff, and very much they were teammates. They're in the same team now, but Cuba, a very welcome addition to Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. Fastest man on the track is 4th placed Jaap van Lagen. So Van Lagen, the defending champion, now the quickest man on the track, and that is experience, that is wisdom, picking your moments, waiting your time, and then moving forwards. We know races cannot be won on the opening lap, they can certainly be lost on the opening lap, and Jaap van Lagen now turning the wick up in that 4th place, and will be closing in on Alex Ryman. So there's Ryman in the blue car, and Jaap van Lagen in the yellow and black car further back. There's Henry Wheeler from the USA in the number 18 car. This is for the lead in the rookies. Arthur Peters leading the way in the rookies at the moment in the 63 car. So this is for the top step of the podium in the rookies. First and second, third in the rookies is Dino van der Geest. He is behind them in 14th place. We've got a lot of warning flags for track limits at the moment. Drivers need to be really careful. If they get 3 warnings, they may well get a time penalty. We do not want to see this race decided in the stewards' room, but that will be the case if track limits are exceeded. Now look at this, Alex Hart has lost that gap to Frank Porte-Hues. Hues has closed in on the race leader, first, second, third, fourth, all closing in on each other. So Hart's gap suddenly down to 0.4 of a second. So he's lost a whole load of time on that previous lap. Maybe there was a mistake, or maybe Frank Porte-Hues has turned the wick up. Got to make the tyres last on these cars as well. The Michelin rubber needs to last the full duration of the 30 minutes. And if you go too hard, too soon, then you're not going to have any grip towards the end of the race. So the shortened race and slightly cooler conditions of the day, that shouldn't be an issue. So I think maybe it's just Alex Hart may have made a mistake, or whatever it is. Frank Porte-Hues is now on his back bumper. So out of the bus stop we come in towards La Source. Other challenges further back as well. Dino van der Geest there in the number 19 car. So out of the bus stop, there's Jesse Polderdijk in the green and blue car. So many talented drivers. There's the 19 car, 14th place overall, third in the rookies. Behind is Karel Krent in the 55 car. So Karel Krent in the pros, so doesn't really want to get involved in a rookie fight. Right, let's have a look again. So there's a replay of the start. Now I'm wondering what is being investigated, if anything, because Frank Porte-Hues, I think he may be just very good reaction times. It didn't look to me like he was moving before the lights went out, but the race directors have a better view of this than I do, that's for sure. And then this was that moment where they ran side by side up Eau Rouge and into Radion. It takes a couple of big whatnots to do that up there, I tell you, because the cars are going so fast. Then along the Kemmel Straight, 3 abreast into Le Combe, and then finally they sort themselves out. Then Milan Marchak giving an opposing tyre manufacturer a bit of advertising, and that was the moment where we saw David Givok turning around as well. Right, here we go. First, second, third, and fourth, all running nose to tail. They've broken clear of Jelter Hoffner at the moment, but 1, 2, 3, 4. This could go any way at all. 11¼ minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race, the opening race of the season. And Alex Hart has had a warning for track limits, as has Alex Ryman. So we need to keep an eye on that. I told you the stewards were going to be tough on the track limits, didn't I? They may well step in here if more track limits are exceeded. We've still got a little under 11 minutes this race remaining to keep it within the white lines. Still the fighting continues. The 63 car of Archer Peters, I beg your pardon, has Henry Wheeler. So impressive. The driver from the USA. His mum took him to Oschersleben a few years ago to show him motorsport, and he fell in love with it immediately. And now, even though he lives in the USA, has decided that Germany and Belgium and the Benelux region is where he wants to show. Right, 5-second time penalty for cars 5 and 44. So that's Hugh Bredfeldt and Cuba Twarog. So 5 and 44 have time penalties for exceeding track limits. So they will have 5 seconds added on to their time once this race is done. Is there more to come? I suspect there might be. I was telling you about Henry Wheeler at that time before I got interrupted by the steward. So Henry Wheeler has decided that Europe is the place to come and show how good he is, and trust me, he is good, and certainly proving that here as he challenges for a win in the rookies. I would remind you what I said earlier. In Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe, he started in 4 races. He won all 4 of those races for the rookies. Is it going to be 5 out of 5 if you count Porsche Carrera Benelux? Because he's going to have to get past Archer Peters first in the Team Race Art car. And Archer is no slouch. And the Team Race Art car is very, very quick. It's Team Race Art versus A-Works by Katana Tools. Here comes the other of the A-Works by Katana Tools car with Alex Hart at the wheel. Frank Portehuis has kept him honest in 2nd place. Alex Ryman in 3rd. Jaap van Lagen in 4th. There's Bertrand Baguette coming under pressure from Theo Ellenis. This is for 7th place. So Theo Ellenis, he was such an entertainer over the winter in Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe. A driver with a lot of experience versus a driver with a lot of experience. 2 of the most experienced drivers in the field running together, the 92 and the 27. Bertrand Baguette, such an honour to have him here in the field of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. It's becoming customary for him to start as a guest here at Spa-Francorchamps. And of course, he won race 2 here at Spa last year. So here we go again. There's Dino van der Geest, I beg your pardon, who is 3rd in the rookies in the number 19 car. Behind him, Jesse Polderdijk in the number 29 car. Sorry, it's Hugh Bredfeldt who's in there, in the car behind him. Still learning the liveries early in the season. There we go, the number 5 car is Hugh Bredfeldt. Out of the bus stop we come, out onto the grid. 7 3/4 minutes remaining of this race. A race that has been shortened. We've still got the track warnings, track limit warnings coming, and car 19, 32 and 39, so that'll be significant. Dino van der Geest is one of them. The 32 car is Robin Knudsen, and the number 39 car is Yannick Kakela. At the moment, Yannick Kakela is leading for the Pro-Ams. He's in 19th place overall. 2nd in the Pro-Ams is Mike Rosenberg, a regular guest here in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. And then Levent Turkman, 3rd in the Pro-Ams, 23rd overall, which is very, very impressive considering his CV. Right, look at this, a challenge here coming up. This is for 14th place, but it's for the last of the rookie podium positions. A 5-second time penalty for car 22. So a 5-second time penalty to Frank Portehuis for that overtaking outside of the track. So that is going to change the dynamic of this race. A 5-second time penalty will be added to Frank Portehuis after this race is done. So if things finish as they are now, it will put it down in something like about 8th place. So a disaster for the 2nd place driver who has been looking so quickly. Said it once, I'll say it again, track limits, always an issue here. Our stewards are taking zero tolerance of drivers who exceed track limits, and it's going to really hurt. It's going to change the shape of the podium because Frank Portehuis is almost certainly going to drop out of the top 3 once the penalty is applied at the end of this race. We're looking there at the number 19 car in 14th place. The 55 car in 16th, that's Carol Krent, has David Givok trying to come back from that spin. There is the car that has that 5-second time penalty, and this is why. Well, track limits, they probably didn't need to look at too many videos to look at that one. Theo Elenis in the background was following quite closely as well. But making that move outside of those track limits, an additional 5-second time penalty for car 44, that is for track limits, so another 5 seconds for car 44. So that's Cuba Twarog, who's now got basically a 10-second time penalty. As we look there at the 998 car, Jan Seifert and Robin Knudsen, as Knudsen has got past Seifert up into 10th place. Now Seifert coming back at him, up towards Eau Rouge. A lot of courage to get your foot buried in it there. You see the car dancing over the curbs, and Seifert has that position back again. So the driver that we have seen in Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland over the last few years, having to go in the Benelux, showing quite how useful he is, going wheel to wheel with last year's winner of this race, Robin Knudsen. So the 44 car with that additional 10 seconds, that's the one just to keep an eye on as well. At the moment running in 21st place, so it's not going to affect the overall result, but have we got any more to come? I sincerely hope not. Our race leader, he's opened up the gap again to just a fraction under a second. 0.952, Alex Hart leads Frank Portehuis, but it will be Alex Ryman who will inherit that 2nd place. Jaap van Lagen will be up into 3rd place. Right, another time penalty, this time for 977. So that is Levent Turtman. What a shame. Levent Turtman, who's running in 23rd, but 3rd in the Pro-Ams, is going to have a 5-second time penalty. Having said that, his nearest challenger is Makoto Haga. So I think Levent Turtman might be safe there for that podium, but an additional 5 seconds added on for him. We're looking at the Dina van der Geest battle that appears to have been going on for most of the race, with Joop Bredveld in there as well in the number 5 car. They are fighting over 14th place, and then behind them, Carol Krent in the number 55 car for JW Race Service. In towards the bus stop, the long shadows, the light starting to fade. Now Jelte Hofner is turning the heat up on Jaap van Lagen. Can Hofner get a podium out of this race? He's got a little over 3 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. In towards La Source we come. Hofner to the outside, in the background Milan Marchand ready to jump if these 2 cars get together on the exit of La Source. Downhill we come. This is for a podium. We cut away from it at the moment, but we can see at the top of the picture. Meanwhile, in the background, there's the 32 car, Robin Knudsen, also fighting for position as well with Jan Seifert. I'd really love to know what's happening up ahead of them, because it's for the last of the podium positions when that penalty has been applied to Frank Portehuis. 2.5 minutes remaining. So who is it? At the moment, it's Jaap van Lagen. Hofner has a little look again, ducks out of the slipstream into the chicane. They come once again, Lecombe up towards Malgody and then down to Rivage. We look back again at the battle further back between Robin Knudsen and Jan Seifert. This is for 10th place. I hope we're going to see a bit more of that fight between Jaap van Lagen and Jelte Hofner, because that is very significant indeed. Meanwhile, Alex Hart at the front has 1.162 over Frank Portehuis. Make that 6.162 when the 5 seconds have been added. Frank Portehuis, Alex Ryman about 0.786 behind them in third place, net second. Then Jaap van Lagen fending off Jelte Hofner in the background. There's van Lagen. Has Hofner taken too much out of his tyres, because suddenly he's fallen back into the clutches of Milan Marchak. Bertrand Baguette fancies getting involved as well. 90 seconds of timed racing remaining in the season opener for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. Theo Ellenus has made great progress. He's up into 8th place. Mace Muller in there as well. And then in the background, Robin Knudsen. Our leading rookie is still Arthur Peters. He's held off Henry Wheeler so far. Can he hold him off for the rest of this race? Yanni Kakela is the leading Pro-Am driver. Mike Rosenberg, second in the Pro-Ams, third. Levent Turkman with that 5-second time penalty. You can see the evolution there on the graphic, and you can see Arthur Peters up to 12th place. He's made up 6 places in this race. And another one, Dino van der Geest, who's made great progress. Now suddenly Jelte Hofner under pressure from Milan Marchak. Bertrand Baguette in there as well, Theo Ellenus. And now Jelte Hofner has a 5-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. So Jelte Hofner is going to be relegated further down the pack. So Milan Marchak will already have that 5th place signed and sealed. So Jelte Hofner falling foul of the stewards. So out they come once again. There are 15 seconds of timed racing remaining when our race leader crosses the line. Well, when the clock strikes 0, it'll be what remains of that lap, and then one more lap after that for our race leader. At the moment, our race leader is up at Rivage, so it's going to be about a little over 1.5 laps. So now to the inside goes Joop Bredveld. We look again here as the clock strikes 0. So much drama here in the season opener of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. And look at this fight here. Jelte Hofner. There's Milan Marchak in there as well. Going wide onto the gravel, onto the grass. He gathers it all up, but he's allowed Bertrand Baguette and Theo Ellenus through. So suddenly, Milan Marchak, he didn't need to get past Jelte Hofner because Hofner had that time penalty. But now he has been shuffled down the order after that moment going wide. Now Theo Ellenus fancies a challenge on Bertrand Baguette. These two really experienced drivers. Here we have a look again. Into the corner they come, and out wide goes Milan Marchak. He might argue that he had nowhere else to go, but whatever's happened, he has now had 2 cars come sailing through on the inside. Where is our race leader at the moment? The question is, he's up at Blanchimont, so it will be one more lap after this. There is the 19 car, Dino van der Geest, this time fighting off once again David Givok in the 77 car. So a lot going on in this race in the closing stages here at Spa-Francorchamps. Out across the line once again, and for the last time, Alex Haab will start his final lap of the race. Into La Source he comes. Behind him, Frank Portehuis, now with that 5-second time penalty, will see himself shuffled off the podium. Still so much to play for, up and down the pack, as once again, Dino van der Geest and David Givok once again challenging. Incidents involving where Milan Marchak was shuffled off the track has been noted by our race steward. So that moment where Marchak lost a couple of positions as Givok takes a tighter line into La Source and out onto Eau Rouge once again. So that moment where we saw Milan Marchak lose those 2 positions is being reviewed by our race stewards, who have had an awful lot of work to do in this race. And the result as they cross the line will not be the result. Another 5-second time penalty, this time for car 83, and that is Makoto Haga. So it means that all being well, Levent Turkman will have his 3rd place, his podium for the Pro-Ams. That's fairly well guaranteed, as long as he can keep it all together and not get any more penalties. Still the battle carries on between Dino van der Geest and David Givok, and in the background as well, Carol Krent. He can see there's an opportunity to maybe take a couple of places. Where's our race leader at the moment? He's up at Fania, heading in towards campus, going wide onto the gravel. This fight as everybody extracting everything out of they've got in this final lap of the opening race of the season. Into Stavelot for the last time comes our race leader, so he's going to be coming across the line shortly, but the battles still rage on. Further back, Bertrand Baguette will potentially know that Jelte Hofner is going to get that penalty at the end of the race. Out wide goes David Givok once again, still holding on to that position. Carol Krent would have thought that would have been an opportunity. Meanwhile, into the final couple of corners, into the bus stop for the very last time comes Alex Hart. What a debut in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. It's a win from pole position for the season opener. For Alex Hart, second is going to be Alex Ryman as Frank Portehuis is given that time penalty. Third is going to be Jaap van Lagen, and then I think fourth for Frank Portehuis. So they've made up a little bit of ground, so not as big a relegation as it might have been. But with the 5-second time penalty applied, Frank Portehuis is shuffled off the podium, and it means that Jaap van Lagen gets that last of the podium places, the defending champion with a good points haul. As the race finally comes to an end, Arthur Peters crosses the line as the rookie winner. Henry Wheeler gave it everything, but it was going to be second in the rookies, third in the rookies. After such a strong fight is David Givok. And the winner in the Pro-Ams, Yanni Kakela. Second in the Pro-Ams will be Mike Rosenberg, and third in the Pro-Ams will be Levent Turkman. So, what a dramatic race that was. It's taken a little bit longer to happen than we had hoped for, but you do understand that they was required to have a fairly lengthy stoppage to make sure everybody was well after that opening lap incident, but we were thoroughly entertained with a great race afterwards. The race directors getting involved, but no doubt about the winner. Alex Hart taps the roof of his car and climbs from it. He's only listed as a guest driver, kind of hoping he might carry on in this season of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. There you see the results, all subject to confirmation. Alex Ryman, a 5-second time penalty has been shown and given to Bertrand Baguette for forcing another car off the track. So that was that moment where we saw Milan Marchak forced wide, and that means that a 5-second time penalty has been given to Bertrand Baguette. It means that he is relegated down to 10th place. So we got any others? We've got more time penalties. I'm afraid Cuba Twarog, his time penalties are going to be probably added up in minutes. He's had quite a few for track limits. I'll joke about the minutes, but he has had a total of 15 seconds added to his time. But it's his debut here in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, and it's all part of the learning curve. Second place, Alex Ryman. That's a really strong performance from him. His best up until now being a couple of 7th places, so by far Alex Ryman's best ever performance. And Jaap van Lagen, of course, last year's champion and a previous winner. But Alex Hart, wow, what a dramatic race that was. There's the Jelte Hofner car in the background, and Alex will jump up onto the podium. There was a lot of discussion when he was upgraded from being a Pro-Am overnight. We know that was the right decision now because that was stunning. And there, being congratulated, and will make his way to the podium very, very shortly. And hopefully we will see that. I know we're running a little bit late on the schedule, but we hope to bring the podium. In the meantime, let's have a little look at what has occurred. Well, it was a restart after a lengthy delay. We finally got underway
and it was a great start from Frank Portehuis. But at this moment now, as he pulled alongside Alex Ryman trying to come back at that second place, that was going to be significant in the final result. They came up side by side, such brave driving as they headed up Eau Rouge into Radion side by side. But then on the exit up here, this is where Frank Portehuis went way off track, exceeded the track limits, made the move stick, and the race directors got involved and applied a 5-second time penalty. Milan Marchak, well, it started off well, but he found himself really getting caught up in the pack. A lot of drivers very much with their elbows out, and the fights were continuing. Joop Bredfeldt appeared to be running with Karel Krent for very much of the race. There were others who were going to get involved as well, but Karel Krent, at this particular point, on the inside of Joop Bredfeldt and getting that position. And Karel eventually finishing the race ahead of Joop as well. At the front, it felt like it was all kind of compressing, didn't it? Everybody closing in, and the lead that Alex Hart had suddenly disappeared very much. The well over a second lead disappearing into a few tenths. The fights further back continued. Jelte Hofner, this was another controversial moment, and this is where Milan Marchak got shuffled wide, and it was for that Bertrand Baguette received a 5-second time penalty, and he was shuffled further down the order to eventually finish in 10th place. But there was no doubting Alex Hart. After losing that gap, he reopened it again to cross the line well clear of the eventual second place of Alexander Ryman and Jaap van Lagen in third. And our winner for the rookies, Artje Petters. Our winner in the Pro-Ams, Yanni Kakela. All very much subject to confirmation, of course. I think there are a few incidents that the race directors are looking at still. But there is the unofficial results scrolling through a screen. The blue box around the 19th place, indicating Yanni Kakela as the winner in the Pro-Ams. Second in the Pro-Ams was Mike Rosenberg, and third, Levent Turkman in his debut in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. Right, well, that's one way to get around, isn't it? And the marshals, well, they deserve a lap of honour. They've done a fantastic job here, sweeping the track. We gave them plenty to clear up on the start line, didn't we? As we looked there at the Theo Ellis car parked up. Theo, he was disappointed with his qualifying, but I think 5th place was pretty good considering all in his Quanloop Est1 Racing number 27 car. So I think Theo must be reasonably satisfied with that. He's a driver that's doing a full season here. We look again at some of the highlights from the first race of the season for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. So, a little bit of a recap. That only tells part of the story, doesn't it? Right, we're hoping we're going to be able to bring you the podium here. Drivers, it takes a little while to get up there. We are also running a little bit against the schedule there. And the hard-working crew, go that way, go left, no, go right, come on then. Just getting the drivers on, and hopefully we will see them very shortly. We do have a schedule to stick to, but I'm hoping we're going to bring you something of the podium as we just look again at the results. We'd love to see Alex Hart, Alex Ryman and Jaap van Lagen on that podium. Well, it's a first podium for 2 of the 3. It's certainly not the first podium for the other one, because Jaap van Lagen has won 4 races, and of course the championship last year in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. So he's the only one who would have stood on the podium prior to today. But I'm really hoping we can see them. But as I mentioned, the clock is ticking, so somebody just accelerate them up the stairs, please, to the podium here, overlooking the start-finish line here at Spa-Francorchamps. There, once again, just scrolling through. So scrolling through on your screen, right, well, I'm being told we should, hopefully, as long as they don't have to stop to go to the toilet or anything, we should hopefully have time to bring you the podium. That's a non-Porsche car heading up Eau Rouge. I tell you what, I walked up that last night. I normally run, I do a track run, I'm not up to it last night, and the walk up Eau Rouge, I did a little sit down after that. I need to get fitter really, don't I? Right, here we go. I can see our announcer, our podium announcer, who is getting ready. Oh, he's gone back in again. So here we go. So Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, are we going to have third or first out first?
Start nummer 8 en Tijn van Berkel in de 95. Dat heeft even geduurd om
so we're having a little bit of a, I believe, a recap.
Goed nieuws, ze zijn allebei bewust. Ze hebben rugpijn gesignaleerd en daarom werden alle voorzorgen
possibly an update
in de juiste omstandigheden uit
on the drivers that were involved at the beginning.
Die aanrijding bij de start. Het gaat goed met zowel Joep Muller als Tijn van Berkel.
Okay, so I would love to tell you what that was about.
Okay, we have good news about the two drivers which were involved in the accident at the start of the race. The driver was complaining about back pain. That is why the medical team took every possible solution to take care about the care of the driver, but they are both conscious, they're both in the medical center. It seems that they are okay.
Brilliant news, brilliant news. So that was why we had that lengthy delay, and great. Can I just say thank you to the crew here for giving us that update. The two drivers that were involved at the beginning, one was complaining of some back pain, so they take every precaution and we applaud them. That is absolutely, absolutely the best thing, and so pleased they are all well. So that is great news, and while we're waiting for drivers to come onto the podium, I'd like to tell you about Seb Valois Champagne, and they are our official champagne partner for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux here this year, and I'm told that it's also served in the #1 restaurant of the Netherlands, but I don't think I've been there, but I'm hoping to sample some of this champagne. So Seb Valois, our new champagnes supporting official champagne partner for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux 2026. Thank you for being part of this. We hope you are going to be thoroughly entertained. It seems such a shame because we're probably going to spray it over each other, but we'll try and drink some of it as well. Well, the drivers will. But thank you for your support of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. And as we wait for the drivers to come out, someone give them a push. We've got to go off air in a bit, and we really do want to see them. And I'm thinking that somebody is probably hastening up the stairs at the moment.
La remise des prix Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. On va pouvoir commencer pour la cérémonie protocolaire et on va accueillir sur la 3e position. Il est le champion en titre derde plaats voor Jaap van Langen. De team Resart, de Nederlander, kampioen.
He knows what it looks like from the podium, doesn't he?
Second position for Alex Reimann.
Alex Reimann, the first podium in the overall race.
From Estonia, and the winner coming from Germany.
But the winner, who knew? Alex Hart is going to stand on the top step of the podium. Pro-Am? I don't think so.
The team Eworks by Katana Tools, and because Alex Hart comes from Germany, let's listen.
And so we have now for Alex Hart the German national anthem.
Congratulations to Alex Hart. On va demander à monsieur Yves Baclair, président du Royal Automobile Belgium, de bien vouloir venir remettre le trophée au pilote classé 3e, Jaap van Langen.
Jaap van Langen receives from Yves Baclair, the president of RACB.
Benjamin Wolbier,
third place trophy.
is the sales manager for
Benjamin Wolbier, the sales manager of Fuel, the official partner of
Benelux.
PCCB, Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, presents the second place trophy to Alex Ryman.
Et puis de nouveau Yves Baclen pour remettre le trophée à Alex Hart, le vainqueur de cette première
trophy
pour le moins animé dans tous les sens. Alors on le rappelle, hein, les nouvelles sont très rassurantes pour Yves Müller.
First place trophy even to Alex Hart. And that'll be one he will remember for a very long time. And there's Olivier Hertz as well, who I believe will present one for the winning team. A-Works by Katana Tools. So Olivier, who organises this series, does a stunning job. And he will reflect on what has been a dramatic but thoroughly entertaining opener for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, we're going to do it all again tomorrow. A little bit earlier though, we're going to be on air at 10:30 local time tomorrow morning. It will be race 2 of a 12-race season. And we're going to see whether Alex Hart can make it 2 out of 2. I do hope you're going to join us then. I hope you've enjoyed the opening race of the season of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. From all of us here at Spa-Francorchamps, have a great Friday night and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.